Morning, guys. Not mornings, it's usual habit. So, good evening or good afternoon. It's 4:41 p.m. July is June 2nd, and I'm still having an issue with Mbox, so I couldn't get a chance to record the video for Mbox as usual today as well. Hopefully, by tomorrow, I would have a fix. So, starting next Monday, I should be able to do it. Okay, so bear with me. Now, for our regular videos, I will continue doing that thing, right? Because that is important. Regular is more important than inbox, right? But anyway, so today's notes were again very simple: level to level, point to point, right? And as we discussed in Discord, prices between mid-term sellers, first line of defense versus short-term buyers line, so it's like kind of a junction point: short-term buyers versus mid-term sellers, first line of defense. Mid-term sellers also has a second line of defense, which will come by today's trend day up. If tomorrow there is a follow through, then you will see that second line of defense for mid-term sellers will come into play, Monday or Tuesday, and that's where the final showdown will happen. So but anyway, so this is the bigger note, okay, that you have to keep in mind for June month. Now I'm not going to repeat this. 1 or 2 days I will repeat this, and then I will remove this statement. Okay, you have to just remember it. Now for ES, it is all about 41.64, 70, 41.38, 41.54. Above all, buyers. In between, both parties. And below all of this, sellers will keep it down. That's the view. So basically I'm saying below 38, sellers still have a control for intraday. Now above 38, ping pong will start, right? Both sides could be active, and above 70, buyers have a control, right? Because at that time short-term buyers will take over. Now mid-term, which is also the mid-term first line of defense, right? And short-term buyers are fighting at this point, right? So next mid-term sellers line of defense is 43.10, 90, or so and so, right? Short-term buyers different line is 4050, 3950, right? So price is way above that area, right? Now NQ good R is this. Most likely in the overnight today or tomorrow, you will see this area. If these buyers are really legit, from today's trend day up, you will see this price action, this levels getting hit, and then after that, if price goes higher, then the next level is probably another 500 point or so up in NQ. Now if it gets rejection here, then you want to see how far it goes down, and then we have to come up with the new levels. So up to that point, sellers still have a control in NQ technically, But now, due to the short-term buyers producing a trend day up, this area will become buyers area now. Above this area, buyers are active. So now NQ's buyers, the short-term buyers' job is what? To keep this price till tonight and tomorrow above this area. As long as it is above this area, short-term buyers have a control. So it has to go below to attract sellers. Okay, so remember this statement for tomorrow and tonight. Now today also above dream number, first sign of some buyers, and above 750, second sign of some buyers, right? So Russell all about this three levels, right? And Russell basically held here, right? So Russell is at critical level now. Break above, Russell will go higher towards 1950 or so and so. Below this, Russell still has some sellers in it, right? And then it has to break below to push away the short-term buyers. Okay, Dow is this area. So if Dow is trading above this area, then buyers are there, short-term buyers. Okay, crude is 115.25, right? And and below that area. So for day trading below 113.25, some sellers are there. Crude has established a garbage range between 120 to 110. So pretty much you can see it is trading in a garbage, right? But basically I think it held this area today, right? So below sellers are there, right? So but I think it held it today, right? And it trended higher, and it took out this area, right? So NQ's dream number 598, 576. So basically above 600, I'm saying first sign of buyers, above 750, second sign of buyers, right? And still there are some sellers there here, right? So with that in mind, right, you remember the levels now, right? 700 to 750. These are these four blue lines are sellers line basically, you know. Below, sellers are active, right? And then for intraday, this is the general overview, right? This is why these are the notes above buyers, right, from our pre-market. So above this, officially buyers are beginning, you know. Above this is a second sign. Above this dream line, dotted line, first sign of buyers coming into the picture, right? So right of the, even before in the pre-market, this was a very good short, right? We discussed right here in ES and NQ at the same time, right? This was a short and this was a profit taking area as we discussed, right? And then of the opening, we discussed about Fibonacci ratios and which level to look for, and this was the short based on that, right? All this thing we discussed in this call. Then the idea was we have to look for a pullback into this area somewhere, you know, to short, right? Till then we're not supposed to do anything because the shorting lower is risky, right? And then when price opened and went down, right, what we discuss is the first thing I noticed right of the open was a bullish disconnect. When there is a bullish disconnect, some buyers will be there, so it is not advisable to short with the flow, right? We have to wait for a pullback. Then NQ and ES both went out of sync because NQ started going higher while ES was struggling here below 93. So that was a divergence between indexes, right? So you cannot short here. That is what I repeatedly said in Discord. No shorts, even though it's holding below 93. No shorts. It's a poor location. Same time, you cannot go long either because it is holding below this damn thing, right? And it is touching this 80 area. Remember I said right of the open, watch 80. See, if you look at it, it never closed below 80 until this point, right? So it was holding 80 area. So at least we know buyers are there with the bullish disconnect idea. So the idea was you can only short below 80 if NQ goes below this 455 again. Otherwise no shorts. Long we cannot take it because technically all these sellers are there, right? And NQ is still below dream number. So you cannot go long either. So there is nothing you can do, right? Then I said, then we were watching these levels, right? Back and forth, all this thing, how prices NQ is holding it, right? Remember I said ES has to go higher to this area, you know, in order for you to short in NQ and ES together. You have to look for lineup between those two indexes, right? So that lineup happened at 4108 and this 620 area, right? That we already discussed in Discord. So that was the short, which I said this is the short. Only thing is I did not take it, right? And I give you my reason because I was looking for stop loss, where to put it, right? And stop loss has to be above 662, which is this line, right? So I was looking for 40-point stop and my target was 379, right? So actually the risk reward was 125, right? So based on risk reward, it was a good trade to take it. In ES also, it was the same 4108. You put your stop at 25, right? And then you can target lower this area, you know, that was the idea. But I did not take it because I was not comfortable with 40-point stop, knowing these buyers are holding and there was a bullish disconnect here. And 80, you can see it, price was down almost 20 points and 80 was still holding around zero line here, see? So there was a bullish disconnect and I didn't want to fade against it. After seeing this down move, like breakdown and failed breakdown, and price went higher, shoots higher, right? So at least buyers were there. So I did not want to risk 40 points knowing these buyers are there, right? So that's why I didn't take the trade. But I think a couple of members, you know, in Discord, they took it, right? And they got rewarded also if they took a profit then, okay? So after seeing this down move, you know, now at that point looks like, you know, sellers are in control because price lies through dream number, right? So now you can short it, but only ideal short would be below this level, okay? Now there was a short in the middle you can take, but you know, because of, if you only see this move, you know, consider only this move, then these buyers are trapped, right? So based on this move, hoping that it will continue, you can short around this VWAP, which was 560 or so, right? But you have to put a tight stop. Why? That I already discussed this in Discord, right? Because you are trading in the middle of the range, of day's range, it's a 50-50 probabilities. You know, it can either go higher or lower from here, right? So only 50% probability for trade. So you cannot risk more points. So 10 point is good enough, you know. So 560 was the short setup, and then 569 or so would be the stop, you know, and then you can try it. But you have to understand it's a 50-50 probability. That is what we discussed, right? So then 10 o'clock, 10:30, I usually stop trading for the day, right? And then when I come back, if I see something, I trade. Otherwise, usually I don't take any trade. So after this point, you know, I took this trade actually. So 560, 569, I got stopped out, right? Automatically, my trade was already there, right? I didn't even monitor, and my target was set here, right? So 10-point loss here, I would say, you know, 9 to 10 point, right? But I was not watching this at that time. But if you're watching it, you can see it. Price sliced through 569, provided a pause here, and then held it this dim number, right? And then it shoot higher. At this point, you know that buyers are now controlled. It's controlling this market, right? It's a visible thing. If sellers were so strong, they should have held it here and follow through. No follow through, and price going higher above 4108 here again, right? Around 1105, which is NQ also went above this high. See, if these sellers were legit from here and from here, price should not have gone back above this dim number again. Going above, at least it is opening a door to go long, right? But the problem was these 4 blue lines. See, yesterday it did the same thing and it got rejection, right? So today it can happen, right? So if you, only way you can go long by looking at this story, you have to manage your stops, you know. And price can technically poke down below here and then go higher, you know, all this thing. So if you go, but this was a good location to initiate a long, you know, right here at this high. After price took out these things, right, and pull back, and AD, you can see it by the time it was what, around 1140, which is this, right? ES was testing first hour high after breaking out, right, and AD was way higher. See, it was trending higher. See that? And so based on that, you can initiate a long here, right? But then problem is you cannot hold it for longer. So any weakness, you have to bail out, you know. So for example, when price went close to this 38, which is this, right? And if you see NQ hitting this blue lines, right, you have to bail out, you know. And this blue line, it may not hold because it is immediately after the breakout, right? Now, another reason I forgot to tell you, why not this short, right? Not only 40-point stop, but I have to worry about this breakout also, you know. See, we discuss also these things, right? If price comes to 08 and 20, you have to also consider the breakout of this immediate balance, you know. So that is a risk to short, right? So that was another reason I did not took a short, okay? So now go back to here. This was a long, you can try it, but ideally my view is about this, I am comfortable taking longs, not below this, you know. So that's why I didn't take any longs anyway, I was out, right? But then I came back during the lunch time, and then I saw this rejection, right? And then at that time I said, if price goes below 680, in Discord I have a note there. So if it goes below 680 and ES goes below 22, which is this level, you know, then I will take a short at pullback. Otherwise I will not take a short, right? So I was about to find the screenshot from Discord, you know, where I said this 683 and 22, it has to go below in order to initiate a short. Otherwise this would act as a support, you know, by default. And it did acted as a support, you know, price did not go below 683, you know, it went from 684 and bounced. ES also bounced from 22, right? So at least it is showing you a strength in buying, right? And despite that, I also said in Discord, since I am running out of time, I have to go, I will just take a short at 705, right? and hope that it will go down. First time it did not go below, so ideally the short was below this, but I experimented with this one contract here, and as I said, what, I'll just take the short, but my stop will be like 712 or so, right? Which is a 7-point stop, so not 17-point loss, but 7-point stop. And then so 10-point loss I had here. I was willing to lose 7 point if it breaks out, right? And probability was there, but still I took it. So now I was, and then I left, so then it took me out, right? So 17-point loss for the day total, right? So but now you can take longs even, from here onwards you can take longs, but ideally I would prefer to about this area, right? So then when price was balancing, when price stayed here, so when I left here, right, so and then I was about to finish my lunch, and then I saw this, the way it was going higher, it was doing step up, right? So shorting is very risky. All I was all I was looking for is this move. The way it happened from here, it was not sustainable. Okay, so ideally above this area there should be no short. Okay, but still I took it at 790. I took the short here, the last trade, third max trade is allowed is 3 for me, so this one I took it at 790 here, and my stop was at 14 points, so 806 was my stop here, right? So and then all I was looking for is recovery. Recovery means 17 points recover and extra some points. But then I have to come up with some guidelines. After having 2 stop losses, I have to come up with some guidelines when to cut my trade, right? So if I took this trade here, right, now why here? Because ES was going towards 38, 41, actually this area, now this area, it was here, right? So close to this border, and Russell was hitting 1890 or so, right, that key level. So that's why it's a confluence among indexes, resistance, right? So that's why I took this trade. Now, but now I cannot rely on this short to like fully reverse, right? Yes, it can go down and I can recover my 17 points if price goes down, right? There is always a if, but considering this buyers, it's not gonna pull back a lot, maybe up to this point, maybe up to this point, right? But at least I have that much room to play. But I have to put a tight stop, right? So 14-point stop I put it, relying on Russell and Dow in ES to go down somewhere around here, somewhere, right? And so but then I have to, but what if, since it was here, ES was here, what if it holds this area as a support, right? So I said 40 in this code. I said it has to hold, it has to go below 40 in order for me to hold this trade in NQ, otherwise I have to cut it, or something, or take profit or whatever, right? So here first time it tried to go, see here ES tried to go towards 40, see that, right? So I held it, right? And then it went higher again, right? And again it came down. So here at 12:57 in Discord I have a timestamp also, which is the here, see that condition for ES to go below 40. So here ES did not go below 40, right? That was my warning sign. Still I held it, and then here finally this thing went down, and ES also again went down, right? So here now it's a time that I have to decide. This candle was the decision factor. First time it attempted, obviously someone will buy it because it's a broken resistance turning to support, but they couldn't take it higher, right? And then came down. Ideally it should have gone down, right? So that was the idea. So now I have to evaluate here. So the moment I see a candle going above this, right, it couldn't go below 40, it just reversed it, right? I immediately cut it here, right? So I cut it at 774. My entry was 792, right? So I recover my 17-point loss here, pretty much, right? And then rest, I had a 2 contract here, so just think it this way. I have a double contract here, I have a single contract here, right? So actually I made some money actually, right? So one I bailed out at 17 point, right? So which is break even of covering this loss, and the rest one remaining contract, the one contract I put it at break even, luck by chance if it goes down, that's it. And here it took out this one, so I was even out today, no lose, no winners, right? But I stick with my process of shorting it. but this one was only for recovery mechanism, for this loss. Up to this point shorts were valid. Above this was a risky short. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you, right? Because I said above buyers, right? And yes, above 38 buyers are beginning, right? That was the last point, like a last point to take it below, keep it below for sellers. The moment it goes above, anything can happen, right? Both parties could be active. But considering this AD trending higher, price stepping higher, most likely buyers are going to take more favor than sellers in the garbage, So now here you can even go long at 760, but it was ahead of 750. You do not want to jump on board ahead of it, right? So you cannot go long here. Now at least buyers are in control, right? So the moment price goes higher after this balance, right? See, this is the first real balance it did. See, here it's all pull back, go up, pull back, go up, right? Here it balanced it, then it broke out. So here you can go long right here, at 800 around 1340, which is right here, so here you can go long, and then you can target, you can hope that it will take out yesterday's high, because it was so close and stepping more, and still there are 2-3 hours left for the day, right? So it will go higher, right? So it did a went higher, right? And then it pulled back here, correct, which is yesterday's high. But here you can't trade it, because now it was a first balance breakdown. See that here, mini balance and breakdown, right? So here it attempted to go down, but it couldn't, right? And then it went higher. This was a good short actually, but we can't take a short, right? So we have to just observe it, that hey, if it goes down, but there is no trading now. So then it went down again, double bottom kind of, right? And then it reversed and went higher, right? So most likely it's gonna hit this level tomorrow or overnight, So, but now due to this price action, this entire move, I still don't believe it, But now I think I have to assume it wants to go towards 4300 in ES, and probably NQ wants to go towards this area, But in order to do that, it has to hold above this 752, this area, right? This blue lines, and ES has to hold above this area in the overnight and tomorrow in order to go higher. Any break below this area, price can again come down back to this area, and ES may come down back to 4108, and then it may pause there, who knows, but we will know tomorrow after seeing overnight price action. And that be all for today, and I hope I will be able to do the unbox video starting Monday.